Alright guys, welcome back to Ultimate Scale RC. I'm Matt. Alright, so I've been busy. Um Saturday I thought I'd take a shot at designing a step side box um for the super scale kit, but this should also fit on a stock setup. You may have to be creative on mounting it, but it will come with some mounting rails. That'll be optional, but this is going to be designed, those mounting rails are going to be designed for the kit so that you can access the batteries. And then you'll have these four holes that will mount to those rails, and then those rails will be mounted to the frame. So to access your battery, which will be tucked in behind the cab, um, you'll take these four screws out, and then the box comes off to access your battery. All right, so this box here is a prototype. So I'll take all these parts out. I have to come up with a dump for it. I'm gonna move them over here. This stuff here. So yeah, I had to make a few revisions to this. One I didn't get right is the wheel wall arches. I don't know if you see how round they are right here. Um, this didn't look right. So this is the new version. And this was the pocket for the marker light was too tight, so I had to open that up. 20 thousandths. Well, about a thou, 10, yeah, 10 thou all the way around. So, together 20 thousandths in each direction, X, Y direction. So now they fit right in. Show you when I got gun up here. So it just pops in there. Now, if you notice, my lens is darker red. This is a Pet G, red transparent. You can see it's not quite the right shade. Actually, when you have a light in there, depending on what light you use, it can look kind of pink or purplish. So I just hit it with this stuff here. Um, I'm sure you got some testers has some transparent red for doing just this. But I use that, other hobby paints, and then after that I hit it with a 1K clear coat. And I do the same thing with the bezel. And if you notice, the reverse light is actually two pieces. Cool. I'll pop this out here. So you can take that out, right? And then you can spray this independently from that reverse light. Just don't lose this in the process. And do your outside face. So this face here is the space that's on the build plate. And I use to define the smooth side of the build plate. And then this is the rough side. And then the reverse light, what you're going to do is just the opposite. You're going to kind of reverse them, and then they fit right together. That kind of presses in there. Just make sure you get the alignment right. You don't want to go in sideways, right? And then it's got kind of that elephant's foot on there, so it can't go all the way through. And then when you glue this in to the bezel, actually it kind of presses in there. And you actually do have to kind of file it. Yeah, so I'm going to have to shape it a little bit. But when you glue that in there, it can't go nowhere because there's like a stop. So this actually has independent holes for reverse light if you want to use that option. So, and then it's got a housing inside to isolate the two lights from one another. So this is a better. So that's with it all done up versus this one. So we're gonna build this here, but I'm just gonna go through some of the new products I'm coming out with. You know, the short box, and then there's a wood bed coming out too. So we'll get back to the short box in a minute. I'll show you this real quick so I can clear my bench. I got room to work. All right, so I got 9 of these blanks in stock, and these are on the website now for 35. And then if you want a pre-veneered one, they're $10 more, so they're 45 with the veneer already installed. But I figure I'll do it this way because that way you got a choice. You can, order your veneer or whatever you want because there's different ones you can get. And then you can stain it first or whatever. Um, so, but if you want this, I'm doing this in maple. I might do others later on as funding is more available. But that's kind of the point why I'm doing this is I'm trying to get low cost items on the market to fund this. This is my sole income, so I'm dependent on you guys watching to buy stuff. So and yeah, so I'm almost out of money. If you guys know the story, I sold a 68 K20 K10 K20. It was a 3/4 ton long box that I converted to a short box. But anyways, I sold that. It was a project truck. It wasn't fully built, and I used that to fund this company. Bought 3 high-speed printers plus the CNC router table, desktop router with the laser upgrade, and then I basically got the Fox Alien with all the bells and whistles. Because I just felt like I'd have buyer's remorse if I didn't, if I got the cheaper model. And besides that, they're not really supporting the older version. But anyways, this is maple. This is what I got left. I got another, this box is sold. So, or actually not this box, but I had one of these sold. So I have to do, another bed. So I got that much to finish that. If I have enough left over, then I'll do another one of them. But anyways, I got 9 of these in stock plus this one here ready to ship. Oh yeah, and then yeah, I'm offering free trim sets with the purchase of the floor inserts. And these are just I just drop in the bed and then you could leave it like that or you can glue it down or epoxy it, however you want. They do fit pretty tight, but this thing's got like 3 coats of paint on it plus primer and everything. So that's one that's not modified at all, straight off the printer without any. So they fit in there perfect. That one's a little tighter. Right. So we'll set this aside and then yeah, next is for the box. The box module is gonna come with a basically a new frame, an inside frame, just like kind of like this, how this is built. So I'm gonna have to rip through these parts again. We'll pop this floor out. But it'll be built the same basic construction. I'll have the ladder frame in here, and then these sides will actually be tucked in underneath the bed rail like a real truck, and then form to the box side. And then you'll epoxy these box sides onto the new box, and then I'll have the drop, and then I'll actually have a hinge like a real truck, instead of the Blazer hinges, which I have a set somewhere. They're not handy right now, but anyways, I'm gonna convert that, and then also I'll do my tail light revision, and that will also have the reverse light independent and isolated from the brake light. Um, but so yeah, so that's coming. Um, so we can set this aside. And then, so part of this box project is a custom build that I'll be working on. Plus, it's going to serve as a prototype um, for the rest of the super scale kits. And that's this build here, which this was their very original prototype. So this had the prototype of the V1 kit, and I recently I did this on camera, so I'm gonna revert back in time probably this week, showing this build, getting it to this stage here, and then probably later tonight I'll start working on this again on camera, doing another video segment for it. But as you see, I ripped all that stuff off of it, installed the new front end module, and then did the cab module with doors. So I got some work to do there. I got to shim the top hinge out a little bit. So that's why that's recessed in, so that you have the ability to shim this to get it right. Because you know how you do your fenders and everything, how all that stuff fits is going to vary. It's going to be based on the builder and how you do it. But if you look how thin that is right there versus the stock. Of course, I already shaved this one. But this was usually a bit thicker. So I shaved that down to fit in there better. So you'll have to shim your door hinges to whatever your desire is. But the farther you go out, the less you're gonna be able to open the door, I think. Um so yeah, I got some body work to do to this guy yet. Oh yeah, and then because I developed this with the marker light, and I think they look pretty sweet. Um, if you're gonna do it back here on a step side, then you're probably gonna want to do your front ones, right? So they match. So I got them in amber, and then to pull that off, what we're gonna have to do is hog this area out for that to fit in, just like the box fender. And how we're gonna do that, to do that accurately and make it look clean, you're gonna hog that out until you can fit this plug in there, and that's gonna come with the front end module. And this is made of PLA. PLA is resistant to acetone, so you're gonna hog that out. You can put these in, probably hot glue them in, so that you can remove it later. But you'll hot glue that in, and you'll take that slurry and then fill all your voids, and then with this even in there, you're gonna sand it smooth, and then once once that's cured, then you can pop this out, and then you're gonna have a perfect profile for your front ones. At least that's the plan anyway. That's why I'm gonna do this one tonight because this here is gonna be sold. That's actually already on the website now for sale, and this will be completed tonight. So I'm gonna wrap this up tonight. So yeah, moving on to that. Um, Last week I was working on a tutorial for doing the cab module. So these will be the official videos for the tutorial, which really isn't changed a whole lot since I started doing the development of this thing. Um, but it takes a week to do the tutorial. It takes me a day to actually do one off camera. Probably less than that even. Yeah, about a day because there's quite a bit of work to it. But don't be afraid of it. I mean, even if you've never done anything like this before, anybody can do this. You got to start somewhere, right? But everything's this thing is pretty well engineered, so it pretty much, if you follow the tutorial, you'll be successful. So I got some more body work to do. I got to fill in some areas here, and then do a quick sand, get some of the rough off of it. Um, and then this will be ready for final coat of primer. And then once I'm there, oh yeah, I'm gonna shim the doors. And then tonight I'll be doing the tutorial for the front end module, which that I should be able to do in less than an hour. So that's pretty. You just basically cut this off, glue that thing in, and you're done. Other than yeah, you do have to assemble the bezels, but that's fairly easy to do. Um, the only thing is, yeah, I'm gonna do that video first so I can prototype this here, and then I'm gonna include that as part of that tutorial. So I'll be doing that first. So yeah, I got a long night ahead of me. So all this stuff's on the market, including the box. Um, the box is 125 shipped. USA shipping. Alaska, Hawaii, you'll have to inquire. Because you guys cost a bit more. Probably be like 65. I think I paid the last time I shipped to Hawaii. For a super scale kit. So it's gonna be the same. It's gonna ship in the same box, so it'll be roughly the same price. So that's coming. And once I get this thing this cab done, or at least I'll at least get the front end module and the cab. Then I'm gonna move on to getting it mounted to the frame. The chassis system will probably be the next module that I'm gonna work on. And that will include the fuel tanks that go under here to house your electronics. So there's going to be a full set of cross members that mount to the stock RC four-wheel drive frame, and that'll relocate your servo to put the arm basically in the same place as the Pitman arm should be. Um, you know, except for the limitations of what I'm be working with, but you get the idea. Um, so yeah, so that's the next step for this, getting these two modules completed, and the bezels in, get it primered, and then tonight, or in this video, we're gonna assemble that box. So this will be my box for that build. And then this is supposed to be my truck, but it'll probably end up for sale, just like my other company. I don't ever get to keep nothing. So, right, so since this is a prototype, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this box yet. I might offer it for sale. Um, but yeah, there's revisions for 1/8 inch by 1/8 inch magnets. Just press them in here. And then there's a hole up here where these top rails are. You'll press those in. You might have to drill it out with an 1/8 inch drill bit. Press them in there, and then that'll hold that shut. You could do the chains and stuff, but I'm gonna, that's gonna be up to you. It is 3D printed. I didn't want to do that because that's a failure point. Even though it's not quite authentic. And yeah, my tail lights aren't too how this style was in the 70s or whatever when they came out with them. Whenever them were developed, I have no idea. I'm assuming probably in the mid 70s. Um, they're more modern looking, but I think they're plenty scale. I think they're cool. And then besides this goof up here, I put the marker light facing the wrong way. The two rounder sides, I gotta go on that way, and it's actually supposed to go towards the back. And then my holes for mounting the box sides were too big, so I adjusted that. In fact, I'm out of screws, so I'm gonna have to steal the screws from this build to do this build. So that's gonna kind of suck. Oh yeah, and then the steps I had they were way too high. I had them like going up there, so I had to shave off like a 1/4 inch. to get them. You know, the top of this is almost in line with the floor, so that's how it is. So I fixed that. So this thing's pretty scale. Um, Now these box sides are rectangular versus the real deal. You know that there actually isn't much square other than the profile, but them things they're round this way, they're round that way, they're round the front and one. Um, I can model that, but that takes compute power. Which might even though I got a $2,500 PC, um, it still requires some power. I might be able to do it. I probably will later, but I think these are plenty. I think these look great actually. So I'll fiddle with that later, and if I can pull it off, I'll pull it off. But I wouldn't hold your breath because just based on what I know about my system, I don't think the system can pull it off. It's not my abilities. I've been doing this for 35 years, so since like 1985, I started playing with CAD. All right, so I guess I'm gonna start by ripping that thing apart. I'm gonna set my floor aside. I'm not gonna sell this one because I screwed up right there. So this is mine. This one right here is gonna go with the one that we sold today. So yeah, I didn't get this on the market and I already sold one. And I don't know what others are selling them for, but I don't know if they're doing the lights and all that, and how scale those are. Even though I'm not perfect to scale either, but I thought it looked great. I actually wasn't even gonna do this, and I don't know. Saturday I was just messing around just to see if I could pull its fender off, and it was actually pretty easy, despite some of the errors that I made. But that was because I wasn't really trying. So I kind of got into that, and I spent all week on designing this, and here we are today. All right, so screwdriver. You know what? Oh, I did bring my glasses. So yeah, I'll probably box this thing up and yeah, you're gonna need a stubby. Oh, it's not fitting in there. Unless you get my folder. Ouch. Yeah, even this box wasn't perfect. I screwed up when I printed that one. I used PETG profile, and this is actually PLA. Um, yeah, these first ones are gonna be PLA, because that's all I got. I don't have funding to buy PETG. And then this is the old bezel, or the first version anyway. So see how huge them things are. So I reduced that size down dramatically, and I did that because originally I wasn't planning on doing the front ones, but I thought, well, it's gonna look silly with two different styles, so throw that away. So yeah, I'll update um these fenders with the newer the newer version. And same thing. Oh yeah, the recess for the lens, I didn't go deep enough, so I had to fix that. Um, Originally I was planning on the steps, the side steps. I was planning on just epoxying or gluing those in, and then I changed that to doing a combination where you epoxy it, but you also will screw it in place using these smaller screws. But because we're so thin on the sides here, and plus, it hangs out. So you're gonna want to do both. But yeah, the wheel arch is kind of goofy looking. It don't look right. Boy, this one's really pressed in there good. All right, so we'll set these aside. All right, so I'm thinking you're probably gonna want to start out doing your lights because you'll probably want to pre-install your lights because they fit really tight to the fender. And if you got the fender on with the lights and everything, you probably have a hard time fitting it in. And then show you what them look like. No, there's a little trick we can do with the Loctite gel to diffuse the light so it's not so concentrated. So we'll show you that now. Show you what it looks like without it. See if I can. Uh-oh, my battery dead. Oh, so you see there's a big spot right there in the center. All right, so I don't have the reverse lights. Let's see if I can find. This should be right in here. We'll find the white ones. I'm gonna keep them out. Blue and green, I'll probably never ever use them. Once maybe I do a scaled Christmas tree or something. The reverse light isn't a big deal. See if I can hold that in now. Doing both. That's gonna be fun. All right. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna do this now while we're doing it. Yeah, I guess I'm not quite showing you. What I do If you can use just some like 220 sandpaper, probably be the best approach to doing this. But you got that elephant's foot. You gotta shrine that and actually I went the wrong way. So this is the face. This is the side that's gonna be faced out. So you wanna go the other way with it. Kind of, peel that back the other way. And it doesn't take much. Just wanna be consistent and keep it, try not to lose it. The squareness of it. Take your time. You may have to round your corners. And kind of tapering that back edge. If you have to, you can just kind of doesn't take much to do on corners, so be careful. You want to fit fairly tight, and then make sure you got the orientation right because get the line of reverse light with I gotta go a little more up. Hmm, that's almost there. I think the bird is holding it up now. There. That's what you want. You want it to kind of pop in place. You don't really even need to glue it. Um, Now something that you can do to this to really clean this up is you can hit this with a file. Clean the burrs up because this is printed like this. So it's got the elephant's foot, so you're gonna have to take that off. And then even though you're gonna scuff it up and it'll look weird, like there'll be like kind of white areas from where you filed that off. You hit this with clear coat and that brings it back, and it actually makes it look more, kind of fills the print layers, makes it look you know kind of like a real plastic part. So, or you can sand it all out, but I wouldn't. But this is pretty tough to do. So, yeah, you hit it with a couple coats of clear, and that'll fill all them layer lines. All right, so Yeah, we're gonna glue that in. I might need to get another thing of glue. Another thing too is make sure your lights work before you glue them in place. Alright, so that's my brake light. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna apply some glue to the tip of it. You do it that way, or you could put it in the pocket for the light. And actually, I'm gonna crap. What? Didn't take long. Change the orientation so that you can bend these down. But yeah, we'll do the reverse light just the opposite. If they're not fighting or snoring. Alright, so I'm gonna set that aside. Grab my other one. If you do it that way, it kind of pushes a little bit of that through the bore, and it almost looks like a bulb um when it's cured. All right, just gotta test this and make sure it works. And it sucks, you get that glued in there and you got a bad light. Ooh, this one's oh, duh, wrong set. Man, I'm almost out of them. That was an amber. And oh yeah, that's something you should do too is test fit before you glue. Because you may have to hit them with a that's these are an 1/8 inch, so you need an 1/8 inch drill bit um to drill those holes out, the bores out. And of course, the other reason you want to test is make sure you got the right color. Oh, this one might be spent. I can get another drop out of here somehow. Damn. All right, while these are curing, we're gonna move on to the step. We'll set this guy aside so you can see the difference. I actually kind of wanted this look, but this is gonna work better because of the reverse light. The way that the reverse light's installed. All right, so same thing. With these guys. Oh, wait a minute. If we're gonna paint this, you're not gonna want to install this. But um, I can do this now. just so that they're dry for when that time comes. So let's see if I got a new one out here. I thought I did. Maybe not. All right, hold up. All right, so same thing. Oh, I didn't open it. Another thing I thought about trying, get the light, just using some Play-Doh. May have to do that, with especially with them, or um, use some baking soda. Actually, that might work better. Of course, I don't think I got any. I guess I can try both. Let me put it on pause and see if I can find some baking soda. Nope, no baking soda. Did I even try this? That looks pretty good. And the glue hasn't even cured yet. Um, so here's one without the glue. Oh, it's about the same. Oh, actually, that ASC slurry would probably be the ticket. I'm not gonna do that on them though. At least not yet. All right. So we'll let that stuff cure up. We'll do another test later with the. All right. So This is the updated version. Might have some plugs that you have to remove. You just take a small screwdriver and punch those out. And then, so I got room for my screw heads. I'm using a M2 by 10. And that was something I have to, oh yeah, sometimes these holes, because it's printed flat, the holes aren't, um, revealed. That's the word I'm looking for. The same thing on the bot side. I think this side I already did. But if you got two, and then you use those to mount it, you should be able to find the center. Well, just do this because this will be your template. So that's what I'm gonna have to do on this one. Actually, I'll probably create some kind of template and I'll do that here. I kind of know where they are anyway. Easier with an exact one. Found it. You can kind of see them usually, but you takes a really close eye. Or rub something really hard on it. That'll sometimes reveal it. But yeah, I'll have this pre-done. Boy, well, I got this one. I can kind of use it as a reference. Give it a drill bit on the backside. Come on. Should be right there. It is right there. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to make a template. Shush. So anyways, yeah, you probably want to have all the stuff we painted first. So we do this assembly work. So yeah, I'll be ripping this apart. And I did fix these holes, and this is actually a, you can see where it extruded it up. You know, and this is only 80 thousandths thick, and the hole is 80 thousandths. So it drilled a hole right through it. So it's I fixed that. So what you'll want to do, so this is this side. So you could either use super glue or um epoxy. I think I'm gonna do epoxy. Actually, I'm not gonna do that because I am gonna paint all. So um yeah, that's the thing. Do I want to do that now or later? So this is kind of rough. But you know, when you primer this stuff, it fills in a lot of that stuff. So I don't know if I want to be doing any sanding on this. Maybe just some light. Yeah, I don't want to do a little bit. You don't have to get too carried away. Actually, the way it prints this right here is you kind of want to keep that. Kind of got like a grid on there so you don't slip. So your scale guy don't slip when he stands on there. Yeah. I'm not gonna epoxy this on. I'm just gonna thumb it for now, just to give you an idea. But yeah, you can either use super glue or epoxy, and then we'll screw this in. Let's get the right screwdriver. So the new version, you just go to thickness of this basic. There's a frame under here, so you're just gonna um screw it into there. Actually, these are too long. Probably go M2 by 8. Actually, I'm gonna go even smaller. M2 by 6. And they're shaped like that. That's the fuel tank. And I think the real one is actually shaped exactly like this. Actually, this right here probably might be the last step. Alright, so I'm gonna fill. I am gonna epoxy this in before I paint. But that won't be there on the next print versions of this. Yeah, I'll do that after I do the video. I'm gonna rip this all back apart. We're just gonna kind of do basic assembly here to show you how to do it. I'm starting with a hole to the front first. Then, yeah, so them can be real easy. Now, if these aren't quite, because they kind of come up, so you may have to do a little bit of filing to get that angle right. I mean, it's designed straight in CAD, but in real life, after the printer, they kind of, things do change a little bit. Um, yeah, so this is actually probably the last thing you want to do in the build, but because I wasn't prepared and I wanted to show this on camera, um, had to do this separate. So, or do it in this sequence so we can let that dry. All right, so these here are going to be the same screws, M6 by or M2 by 6. Now, so there's like a little stop on these. Let's see. Right here, this kind of sticks out that way, and then that rides up against there, and that kind of gives this whole thing more integrity, and it helps align it, or at least that was the idea. Oh, wrong screwdriver. It's better to use the shorter screws anyway, because you could always, if you ever strip this out, you can always put a longer screw in. Alright, so one one brake light installed, one more to go. I don't know if you noticed this one's a little foggy when I was kind of developing my process there. I went to go grab the clear and I grabbed my can of primer instead and gave it a shot. Sprayed primer all over it. So I had to try to scrape it out the lens after I had already painted it with that red. Um, and I had to touch it up with a black marker. That's good enough. It's a restore, so we'll say it was restored. The painter guy did it. This truck, I think I'm gonna do in a like a silverish gray color, and then do the graphite on the cab for the two-tone, and then I'm gonna do my trim set on the cab side, and then this will just be silver. So I'm gonna try to form these guys. And then I'm gonna test this again. In fact, I don't have a pair of strippers handy. I think. Oh, I do have any small ones. Where are those things? Oh, I know they're, yeah, they're with my normal ones actually. Let's see if this thing fits on here. Alright, so yeah, you can see how it's pretty tight, right? Yeah, so let's test that. Test this. Ease out, make sure it doesn't break it. Set it on my way so I can see what I'm doing. Yeah, but looks like I could control that. I probably can with my uh Radio Master Zorro. The thing you can program the crap out of that thing. Alright, so again, this is all painted up, pretend, right? Alright, so since I'm running low on them short screws, and I'm not gonna put all the screws in. There's 5 screws that hold this on. And if I remember right, the real box is bolted on pretty much the same way. I could be wrong. It's been since I did my very first project. Was a short box. It was actually I found a frame on my way home from work. I was working in a factory, and it was a '76 GMC short box. Um, from a guy that from Michigan, so all of our trucks here are all rotted out, right? No. So he'd drive down south and haul a bunch of these, square body parts up there for cab frames and boxes, whatever. He had a '76 frame. No, it was just a frame, a set of axles, and 4 flat tires. But it had a title. So I started with that, and I pieced that entire truck together out of the junkyard. And this box reminds me of the box that I found for it. There's a yard called You Runch It. I'm sure you're probably familiar with other yards like that, or you go out there and you got to wrench it off, right? And they had this box out there. I mean, mind you, this is my first project. I wasn't a mechanic or nothing. Um, and this thing was all rusted up, and of course, I had the wood bed stock, so the carriage bolts were pretty much rusted together. And oh crap, I was just gonna do the top one and the 2 bottoms, but yeah, they were. I couldn't get it. Get those carriage bolts apart, so I had to cut them. and they would not go out there with a torch and cut those bolts for me. So every day after work, I go out there and hack on them frickin' bolts, and it took a week. And finally, it was like a Friday, or actually a Thursday. I was almost through the last one, but I didn't quite get it, and they closed, and they're like, "Oh, you gotta go." I'm like, "Crap! Somebody's gonna come out here tomorrow, hack through the rest of that bolt, and take this back." After I spent all week cutting all the other bolts. So, the next day, man, because I've only had like an hour and a half to work on this before after my shift ended, and then by the time they closed at 5 or whatever, so I rushed down there, and it was still there, luckily, and yeah, I got through that puppy, but they wouldn't load me up because I had to get a trailer for one, and they were closing. It was a Friday, so I finally got through it. But yeah, it didn't have any steps. But it had the basic box frame and the fenders. Didn't have the steps or the lights or anything. And then yeah, the floorboards where the wood floor was gone. All right, so one side's done. Take a look see with a marker light installed. That was the other thing too, shortening that to make room. So if you remember early on, the first one didn't look quite as nice. Right, so now let's try all three. See if I can pull it off. Shush. Of course, I missed the marker. That's killer. Alright, so that's one side. At this point, oh yeah, still gotta do the tailgate yet. And it's the same thing. We're gonna bend these down without breaking them. Oh, so these got the built-in resistors, so you can do 5 or 12 volt. That's the other thing too. That's a 9 volt battery. Of course, that's been sitting in a box for a couple of years, so I have no idea if it's actual 9 volts or not. So if that is 9 volts, then those lights are a bit brighter than normally will be. One thing about having that step there, that kind of helps you find the midpoint because it is designed to hug that fender. But yeah, if you do it actually from the bottom, you can see the hole better. Once you got that one, the rest should be really easy. Man, you can also glue or epoxy that face on this too, and that will give the box more integrity. But then again, that'll make the sides permanent. But because the way it's printed, the box is printed flat, and then those fenders are printed 90 degrees of the way they're oriented now. So you got layering going in different directions. And then with epoxy, it's just as strong as the plastic itself, or supposedly. Oh boy, here we go again. No, I'm not doing both sides. Three is hard enough. Three lights is hard enough. Of course, this one fits a little looser. uh, Kind of hard to do all, do all this with just two hands. So I don't remember. It's not so focused. It is a little more spread out, the light and the tail light. I don't remember which one I did differently because if you remember, I applied the glue a little different. All right, then for this guy, um, this just fits in here. You may have to um file again. You're gonna have that elephant's foot from the print bed. So you may have to file this, but you want this to drop in there. You don't want to have it forced in there. And then also, actually, well, you see they got the four holes, but they're not through on the veneer. So we're gonna need to um drill that out. And then when you screw this down, see you're gonna them holes are actually for assembly purposes too. So you're gonna do this if someone gets the one a couple times. Gonna use the M2 screws to start. So I'm gonna use a 1.5 drill bit. Man, these small ones shifted over. I wish this little drill index was better. Yeah, if I don't fix this now, then I probably should have done this as the first step. But yeah, this will come pre-veneered. But just be careful when you're doing this. Well, actually, what am I thinking? What I was trying to say is don't let the drill bit just like punch through and ruin the veneer. Alright, so now I'm gonna open these holes up to 2.5, which is like I think 100 thou. That might be it. No, because this is gonna be just for gluing this in place. You may want to put tape on this actually. If I got some available. Where the heck is it? Uh, Buried in the back. Now I lost the hole. We'll try that once. Yeah, that was better. Alright, so we're doing this now to screw this to that, to glue this in place. So I'm not going to do that because, of course, I gotta paint this, right? So I don't want this installed permanently, and you don't have to install this permanently if you don't want to. But um, after paint and I go to install this, then I'm gonna use the epoxy and apply epoxy to the bottom of this along here, and then I'm gonna use those screws to hold this down, and then probably clamps as well. Like get this, glued to this frame rail, and then once that's all done, that's gonna give us a lot more integrity, right? And then once it's cured, then you're gonna pull those out, and then you're gonna punch those holes to an 1/8 inch, and then you're gonna go to a larger size screw for screwing this to that frame rail mount, right? So that's that. Then the last thing, like I went over, you got the magnets, and then you're gonna do your pivot screw. So you may want to re-drill this so you don't crack it. And I'm gonna try 1/8 to start, and then I guess you could use I'm not sure what I did here in CAD. I don't remember. Yeah, so you can use the M2, and then there's plenty of room here. Easiest way is lay it like that, and then that's been in there kind of loose. But you can go either or. You can drill that out. Just be careful you don't um push that down because you will break that out. Thinking about where that the stiffener is, I might expand that out to give that more integrity, even though it won't be quite scale. But I think having integrity is more important than that. So it's not something you're gonna notice. What happened here? Not sure where this drill bit even goes. It's supposed to be 1.8, I think. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, but right. All right, so that's it. Oh, I don't have the the mount rail actually even designed yet. Still in my head. But it's basically gonna be made like a real one, and then we're gonna have to custom drill that to the frame rails. Um, so and then if you're using this on a stock setup, then you're probably gonna have to. You probably won't even use them anyway. You're probably gonna have to come up with some kind of mounting system on your own because this is made like to scale versus this box. Um, the floor in this is exactly half an inch too tall, or the depth is a half inch too high. A real one, the bottom of the floor comes right to the bottom of the turn signal, and that's almost exactly a half an inch. Let me measure it just to make sure. It's actually about 3/8. I'll have to look at a picture again. I don't know where I came up with a half an inch before, so I gotta suck back to redo that. But yeah, I'll check that, and if I have to change that because I haven't printed any of these yet for sale, but I will have 4 of these ready to go by tomorrow morning with the solo. Between all 3 printers anyway. I got most like the back sides, the steps. Oh yeah, and then the lights and stuff. I banged out 20 sets. So I'm already 20 ahead on them. So yeah, the only thing I gotta print are the boxes, and this box will fit all 3 printers, and the solo can print 2 at a time. So I can print 4 of them by morning. Alright guys, so I'm gonna conclude the video. Thanks for watching. Again, these are on the website, ready to order. One is already sold. So again, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.